Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Make sure you're subscribed anywhere you get podcasts. And don't forget to follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at MLU Pod. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well at It's Peter_A. Today we have Lovehoney all the way from Brooklyn to talk up their brand new EP, Victory, due out later this month. And we'll also talk about how they got to play with DMC from Run DMC over at House of Yes. We'll talk all things Black Sabbath, the Dead Weather, some great black guitar players from the past and the present, and so much more. Let's bring in Lovehoney right here on My Little Underground. Tommy Alley from Lovehoney, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Pretty good. I can't complain. So how are you guys dealing with being isolated from COVID?
I'm doing pretty well. I don't like to go outside, so this is nice.
I think, I think with everybody, it's something everyone has to get used to. The aspect of, making sure that they have on, gloves and masks and all the time, and keeping, doing that type of stuff. But once you get into the swing of that, at least once I've gotten into the swing of doing that, and that being like a kind of the new norm, at least for right now, it's been fine. And just going to the places where you really need to go, and if you don't have to go, you stay home.
Stay home and
And
drink
you guys
wine.
being, yeah, and you guys being creatives, it's like if you can't go outside, I could do something else in my time to occupy my mind. Maybe think of a new song, for you, Tommy, write up a cool new riff or something, practice a solo or two, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to, I think, use any time that you have to try to be as creative as you can, and that's I would do that a lot of times when I was at work. I would write riffs and stuff. If I didn't have my guitar, I would just hum it into my phone, and so now with having that time, I try to balance it between doing guitar studying in terms of just chords and just stuff like that, just keep the brain working, and then creative, where it's just a free for all, where I just make up different stuff that I want to use for new songs for us and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm lucky enough that Tommy has sent me already a bunch of riffs that we've been working on. So I've been writing to those, and then I also write poetry. So I've had a lot of time to write and maybe perfect songs more than I would on a regular basis.
All you have is time. There's no excuses now.
Yeah.
So
Right. You're absolutely right.
this brand new EP, Victory, it's coming out in June, and it seems to me, just by going through the lyrics, it looks like it's like a story of perseverance, because rock bottom is essentially like you're drowning sorrows through alcohol, and then victory, it's like you're overcoming the sorrows of rock bottom. What's the idea behind these tunes?
Yeah, that's basically, you summed it up pretty well. It's just rock bottom is just it. You think it's all over. You're just whatever. My life's fucked up. I'm just gonna let myself drown in this. I'm gonna let myself experience this bullshit. And then victory is kind of well, now that I've done that, now I can come out stronger, more victorious, if you will say, and and better than ever. And also you kind of, the way victory is sung as well is not super perfect, and I think accepting that you might hit rock bottom a few times, you're always going to come out victorious.
Are these songs kind of part of a larger narrative that may be told over a new set of EPs or possibly a full-length album?
I'm sorry, would you say again? Sorry.
Oh no, I said like are these songs Victory and Rock Bottom are they part of like a larger narrative that are going to be told throughout a new set of EPs or possibly a debut album?
Well, I know we're like right now we're like hopefully working on new material for an album. And Victory and EP were kind of written along with another set of songs that we were working on for another EP, and they just so happen to like really work for the times we're living in right now. It's almost as if we didn't use these songs on purpose, like the universe didn't let us like put these songs out yet, and then now that we have this situation going on, it was like a seemed like a great idea to actually just put them out there now.
So, is there something like strategic that you guys are doing, like as far as releasing EP after EP after EP instead of just a full length album? It's almost like the all killer, no filler approach. Is that it? Do you want to, not have any kind of filler in any album and just have a tight, small collection of songs?
What's great about us is I think we have a large collection of songs already, and it's about like putting them together in a way that is like cohesive, that you'd want to listen to it all the way through. We kind of don't want to make any filler songs. It's like don't make a song if you're not gonna love it type of thing. So I think we're like open to the idea of doing full length album. It just has to make sense for us, and the story has to like ride out the right way for us to want to put everything out together like that in a I guess a more song type of scale.
And you did the new songs over at Sabella Studios. So, did you take the trip all the way out to Roslyn from Brooklyn just for their tape machine, or what?
Huh.
Oh yeah,
We
oh yeah, oh yeah.
I took the
I,
train
I re-
all the way to Harlem, and then we took like a car, and it was a journey.
yeah. Well, that was that was a great question. Actually, with Sabella, I actually linked up with Will when and Matt when Matt the bass player when we had our other band, Rare Sun, and he happened to be at one of our shows, and he really dug my guitar playing, and he approached that he wanted for us to come in because he really wanted to record the guitar, and so we came and we laid down a couple of tracks with him prior to Love Honey, and I really loved the whole aspect of it because Will was great at setting everything up and doing all the mixing and just really just a great studio guy, very knowledgeable about gear and everything. So he was just great to work with. So even though that particular band, um, faded out, uh, when it was time to do something, on tape with this band, he came back in my mind because prior to that, we had done our previous EPs at some other great studios, and I was always, wanting to, yeah, man, I want to link back up with Will because he was just so great to work with and the vintage gear and stuff like that. So when it came time to do Cruda, I hit him up and he was, down to record it and having that old school tape and also, that being a place where Public Enemy recorded their first record, it was, a really great experience for us to kind of dive into our first experience with recording on tape because, with tape, you if you make mistakes or stuff like that, you have to live with it. There's not this kind of luxury of being able to fix everything in post. And for a band like us, I think it was a great challenge, but we took it head on because that's kind of what we embodied anyway, even though we had never, done that before.
And seeing you guys live is it's almost like you can have someone record there and you can release it and nobody would probably tell the difference between what you're recording, what you're doing live because it's so like magnetic. It's like why isn't this already an album, you know?
Oh, thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because like getting back to what you were saying, uh, we definitely, you know, me and Allie, we collect albums, so we that vinyl, so we love albums, the traditional platform of 8 to 10 songs. So that's always been a dream of ours to have something on there. But you have to be honest with when you're an independent artist, and the cost of making things and distributing them yourselves is much more expensive. And so the EP thing, uh it was very much stylistic and premeditated, like Ali spoke of, but also, it was cost effective, opposed to, being able to record 10 or 11 songs at one time, doing three, and then just hoping that each time that you release this, you build enough momentum and continue to grow a fan base, so that monetarily you will have the money to give people that full, 10 songs as at one time. And like Ali said, we've been cultivating that and crafting it. And for some strange reason, I think Victory and Rock Bottom, and in all the songs that we've done thus far, they if you put them all together, it's like this one jigsaw puzzle of these stories that Ali has crafted. So they all flow as one, for some awesome reason, I think.
Yeah, I mean, would you definitely say that recording out on Long Island is less stimulate, not less overstimulating than the distractions and the noise of Brooklyn?
Uh, in terms of that it's more relaxing to go out there, you're saying?
Yeah,
Oh,
Oh,
totally.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, 1,000%. I mean,
Yeah,
ab-
definitely.
absolutely. Anytime you can like leave, wherever you're accustomed to, and go somewhere different, and go to a place that an adventure, or if it's like a road trip or something for the band, and just to go to a place where this is where you're going to be recording, and it's you know out of the norm from everything else. I think that's great, at least for us. I know, some people may like more of the kind of traditional, or let me say, like, the stuff that's in the city. But we like going out, far out, and going somewhere that's a little, hard for people to get to.
Yeah, and it's quieter, so we're the only ones making noise at that point.
Yeah.
yeah. Long Island is very, you can kind of exhale mentally. You could stretch
Totally.
out a little bit.
Absolutely. Even just going outside, when we go outside from the studio, just to take a deep breath of air, and it feels good, because the trees are out there, so you're getting all the oxygen, and the birds and stuff like that. So that type of stuff is really soothing to me, because I really love like nature. So I like any type of way where you can escape just all the loudness of just the city and stuff like that. Even though I love that stuff too, but I'm more geared towards, a more of a nature guy, I guess.
Yeah, it almost sounds like "Call Me" was recorded out in nature, because that's like the most calm and tranquil set of tunes that you've put out.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a that's a really that was a fun record that we did,
Really was.
because it was really cool for us, because we had just come. I'll let Ali, elaborate a little bit more, but we had just come from doing something, aggressive, and we said we want to do something that showcases how great Ali can sing. Not that what she was doing before wasn't singing, obviously, but in terms of, like, really smooth, soulful, throwback R&B singing, and that she's can do that, at just the highest of a level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have a love of so many different genres of music, and I like to I guess dip my toes into everything if I
dip,
can, you know what I'm
dip,
saying?
dip my toes.
Hey, oh, he's laughing because I don't like feet at all, and I use the toe. I'm squirming as I'm saying it. Anyways, but yeah, like I really love like old school R&B and soul and like the whole like Motown thing. I was listening to a lot of Supremes, and I think that's how I ended up uh writing Call Me. Like they Tommy sent me the riff, and when I was writing it, I just kept thinking about Diana Ross and how she would probably write that song, and then I went with it.
Yeah, that record is
Yeah.
just like Ali saying, "Guys, I can sing too. Yeah, I can scream, but I got some vocal chops on me too."
Yeah. Yeah, and it was awesome. We we got some more in the pocket lined up like that for this new set of songs where Ali is crooning and doing and laying down some really smooth stuff, and it has more musically. It's probably maybe 70s R&B or more, or 70s kind of R&B ish type stuff. Whatever type of weird, I don't whatever weird bag that I'm in at that moment on the guitar. I can't but it's coming out pretty cool, cuz the influence might be something totally different than what we end up getting. I might be listening to T-Rex and then give Ali like a song that sounds like it came out of Stacks, so it's always fun.
Yeah, and that particular project was kind of a good direction for you too, Tommy, because you're a shredder, and that record has a different kind of way of guitar playing. It's more subtle, soulful, like you said, and kind of easy on the ear. It's not like your aggressive stuff isn't, but when you're taking a nice long drive on Long Island, you put "Call Me" on, you kind of feel at peace a little bit.
Ah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, because that's the music that I grew up on from my father. So my dad always plays nothing but smooth R&B music and jazz music. So that was always something that I listened to, and I just happened to be into like the aggressive '60s rock and stuff like that. But growing up as a kid, my dad playing Curtis Mayfield and hearing the impressions, and then hearing Curtis solo, and then hearing all the good R&B out of the '70s, I was able to. I would always like listen to the guitar and see how with that less is so much more, and just having a really good clean tone and tremolo guitar, and just laying down very percussive and spanky type riffs to go along with stuff. So it was fun for me. I mean, I love playing guitar uh
I'm
that
also
way.
convinced that there's nothing you can't
Thank
do.
you, thank you. I say the same for Allie. But yeah, Allie and I love that type of music. It's funny that you know on our live set, our recent live sets, we've kind of left that, and a lot of people are getting mad at us, so we're telling all of our fans that songs like Beauty and the Struggle, Together, and Call Me, those will come back into the set very very soon. We might even freak people out and just do an R&B set one night and say, F it, man, this is what you're gonna get. you know
Definitely, because I had a lot of people that maybe they're not so into the like rock stuff, but they love the R&B stuff. Like my sisters personally, like they're not really into rock music, so but they really love like all of our like slow jams and our like more smoother tone music,
Mm.
which
I
is
want
how
to talk about
them
your.
got
Oh, go
pregnant.
ahead. Well said. You know, maybe your more smoother songs will help others get pregnant in the future.
Yes, we're helping others procreate.
Let's go. Let's go. I
Oh
want to
man.
talk. I want to touch upon your Arlene's Grocery residency and the series of shows that you did at Rockwood Musical. I'm not sure if that was residency too, but you did do a number of shows there. What is the value of playing in the same venue consecutively in your hometown?
Well, for me, definitely, from a sound aspect of it, it's great that exactly how you're going to sound when you go in there, because as a guitar player, you learn that different venues and the different sizes and how those things are going to sound, and lots of times, especially for a band like us that's a loud, it's a big sounding band, you actually have to master the art of condensing that in a way where you can still be huge. And so it's almost uh you have to turn down in order to be more powerful, because if you're just super up loud, then it's not going to come through clear because of the space. So getting to play those venues and setting up, getting the sound right, it might not have happened maybe the first show, or it might have come close, but then by the time now you play the second time, you're like, oh man, this is it. This is sounds really great. I love the way this is the way the amp is going to be set up, and it allows you to really be consistent with giving people the way that you want to present the music. So and I know Allie feels has her reasons, but that those are just my personal favorites of being able to have a good sound each time we play.
Yeah, I agree with Tommy. Same. As long as I can hear myself, and I really like those places. Like you able to like build a relationship with the people that work there and stuff, and they remember you. Uh, and the crowds were always awesome, and the space is always awesome. Just the way it's like decorated and set up. Really
Yeah,
enjoy staying in those
absolutely.
places.
Yeah, good, really good people at both venues. Great sound technicians, great staff, great bartenders and stuff. And that's that's actually truthful coming from us, because there are some places that I won't mention that aren't like that. So to have those two venues, make sure that they always treat the acts really good and treat the staff, well and warm. That's something that you remember, because at least Allie and I, because we take that very seriously, because we actually go to venues and we tip the sound person. We give them something extra, because a lot of times these guys sometimes don't want to be there, or they don't feel like they're being acknowledged. So we started to say,
Appreciate
hey
it.
man,
Yeah.
let's make sure we tighten them up a little bit to know, hey, you know, this is what's going to happen. So if we're a little anal about making sure we have the right sound on Allie's voice, they know, okay, these guys, I'm gonna take care of them a little better, and and stuff like that. So
Yeah, at the end of the day, we just want to put on a really great show, and in order for us to do that, we have to make sure that we are, um, anal about the way our sound is. We've played shows where we can't hear ourselves, and people are like, "Oh, but you guys sounded great." But at the end of the day, if we feel like it's not going well, it's like a little bit hard to play the show, not knowing whether or not it's going well.
yeah, man, because it's now you're just like, and now it's all muscle memory. So there's been some, not at those venues that you mentioned, Pete, but
Not at those.
we had some ones where Allie was like, "Oh man, I couldn't hear myself," and could you hear me? And I was like, "Yeah, I could hear you," but she couldn't hear herself, or vice versa. And now it kind of kills the energy and that we want to give. And people may still love the show, but we want to. I know when I can hear her, it makes everything 10 times better, because now it's like I'm feeling the same intensity that the audience is getting. You know what I mean? So we definitely feed off each other. So, you know, at least we could still see each other when we couldn't hear each other.
Yeah, and if the sound is good, I'm able to leave my body and get possessed by music.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about building relationships and building a fan base. Venues asking you to do a residency. That's probably very flattering, not only to you as people, but to the progression of your band, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, a place wants you to come back and come back multiple times, it's super flattering. And especially, with a band with the type of music that we make, Al and I definitely don't consider it the norm in terms of, because we're definitely like a throwback rock and roll band, and it's less of what we do out right now than it was when it was quote unquote popular. So and there's not a lot of people doing what we do that look like us. So when people embrace it and gravitate towards it, it definitely makes Allie and I feel good, and reassures us that it's the work that we've been putting in is paying off, because people just coming up to us and being like, oh, that was incredible. Or one time we were at Rockwood, and some people came way from Philadelphia
Mhm.
just to see us. And so and we had never even met them before or anything. Or so those type of things are very, very humbling. And it's dope, man, because it's like, man, who knew someone would do that? Now Allie and I would do that for a band that we love, but we,
We
you
have.
never think, right, but you never think that somebody would actually take that time to make a trip out of that whole day. That's, you're going to be the main event in that person's, in their, for their night or whatever. And that's pretty cool.
Speaking of things that are very, flattering, and again, building relationships with your venue and vice versa, Arlene's Grocery put out 3 cocktails in your honor. So how does that feel?
Feels like I need
Yeah.
a drink.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
You
sick,
must have tipped the
man.
bartenders very well.
I hope we did. I hope we did. In fact, though, no, it's so funny. I think they tried to charge us.
For your own
I was like,
drink?
yeah,
Yes, they did.
I think they tried to charge us. I said, I know you ain't trying to charge us for our own, for the drink. Do I need to show you some identification? Yeah, I think I couldn't. But I asked for one of the drinks, and the lady was like, yes, it's gonna be blah blah blah. And I was like, I just got off the stage, you know it, right? And she's like, oh, I didn't know, but
Maybe Ben Franklin would change your mind.
yeah, right, right. But that was, but all jokes aside, man, it was dope that that came about. And it was really cool, man, because it was done tastefully, because they, no pun intended, they really wanted each one needed represented, a different flavor and a different vibe, and that's kind of what we bring, to the table musically. So, we never would have thought that would have happened, and it probably definitely has to be the first for a New York band to have something like that at the venue. So and they sold out too, and
Kind
and
of like
and
joining forces with like sponsors, because I think that was with like Sailor Jerry's, and then I think we also had a Red
and
Bull. Um,
right, and Red Bull, right, Red Bull came aboard and stuff like that.
and
So
then we
Look
had
at
that
this
was.
y'all.
company.
Look
Yeah,
at
we had
y'all.
this company that created some stirrers for us, and the top of the stirrer was a cassette tape. Man, those we
Yeah.
were giving them shits away because they were gone. By the time I went to go get one for myself, it was gone.
Yeah, and it's so, and you know what? I don't even think I tried all the drinks, because when we play shows, I'll just have Allie just get me one drink just to have on stage, and I knew that those were going to be strong, and I can't play guitar uh even slightly inebriated. Like I just can't. Like I don't have any speed or anything. Whereas I guess some people, they can play, they could be wasted or play and still do their thing, but I can't play. And I drive most of the time too, to like, I'm the designated driver of the band, so I never drink beyond like one drink. So I was definitely jealous, because the band did say that the drinks were really, really, really good. I think I might have tasted like a sip of somebody's drink, of just to taste it.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. I could play like slightly inebriated. I think
Oh,
that
she get to get down and do it if she wants to, but she's
I
had
got
some
it.
nights where she was the lizard queen, where
I got in trouble a
she
few
was
times and had to rethink my position at the bar
yeah.
before shows.
Yeah, she was definitely in her Jim Morrison vibe that night, and
Wow.
it was it was
Here's the
pretty
thing.
it was pretty epic, man. I tell you, it was
Here's the
great.
thing. I'm West Indian and Puerto Rican. So both of those like different scenarios of my background, when they get drunk, they get busy. And that's
That's so true. Yeah, and she was,
Unbelievable.
man, you would have thought this lady was 7 feet tall, the way she was cutting a fool on stage, man.
I'm
It
from
was
East New York.
it was a trip, but it's fun. And you know what's so funny, Pete? Though, not for nothing, you need those nights sometimes as a performer. You need to like know how far you can put the gas on, and then where you need to be, where you're going to feel comfortable, so and sometimes you got to take it, push it to the max, and then you say, okay, well, I'm more comfortable at this speed. And because in the day, in the end, like Mick said, is only rock and roll.
And I like it. So,
Yeah. There you go.
Hmm.
All right.
what was it like performing with DMC over at House of Yes?
Oh man, shout out to DMC. That was great. You know what was awesome about something like that was uh, really really cool because I knew about Run DMC before I knew about Aerosmith. But when they were popular and stuff like that, I was probably a baby, but everyone knew who they were. So probably by the time that I started listening to them, it was they were already legends at that particular time. And then it's funny how when I got into guitar, I started getting into Aerosmith. So you know it's amazing kind of how that came full circle. Learning guitar, you know, and listening to the first three Aerosmith records, and then to end up playing one of those songs, which actually, because "Walk This Way" propelled Aerosmith back into mainstream. And so DMC, man, to meet somebody that's on that Beatle level, and the guy was just humble, nice, and just
Definitely.
super down to earth. It just shows Ali and I that you can reach a level that probably other musicians and artists aren't going to be able to even come close to reach, but you can still just be a regular Joe, and treat people with respect and shit like that. So it was really cool, man. And I didn't know it was going to happen that fast in terms of meeting him and then having to learn the song within like a few days. And
I wasn't
Allie
even
was,
supposed to perform.
yeah, right. She wasn't even supposed to perform, but we always do everything together. So we walked to the venue from my job, and I guess it was like sound check or something, right, Allie? And then that's
Yeah,
when I introduced DMC to Allie, and I let Allie take it from there.
yeah, and we were doing like sound check, and then he just walked up to me and asked me if I wanted to sing the chorus to the song for the performance, and I was like, well, yeah, who's gonna say no to that?
Right, right. And it was the only part that
I did
only
have one
part.
moment though where I was like, wait, what are the lyrics to the chorus again? And Tommy just looked at me like, you a damn fool. Like,
Yeah, like, yeah, come you gotta, yeah, this is like you got see what's and that's what's so that just shows the power of DMC, and Run DMC, is because like that song Walk is it's people who don't even like rock and roll music that know that song. It's people that don't
hmm
even know rap that know it's just like one of those iconic type songs. The only thing that part about it that sucked for me personally was right when the first solo is supposed to come on, the guy that was doing the Steven Tyler part, he stepped on my chord, man, and pulled it out, and like I couldn't hear anything, and then well, no one could hear anything, and then he's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, dude," and then he pulled it back in, plugged the cord back in, because I saw when he was walking around stage, I was like, "Oh man, this guy doesn't seem like he knows where things are." And I was like, damn, this is, and he, sure enough, soon as I was like, soon as the solo part, the first solo, because the song has like three solos or whatever, but I made up for it at the end, and I kept, I kept a cool face the whole time because it's happened before, with stuff, but it was fun. I was like, no, I was like, God damn it, man, this is the moment. Don't ruin my moment.
Yeah, I think I wasn't even supposed to be walking around the stage. They told me to stay in one spot.
Yeah, they told
And
her to stay there because she had like a mark where she was supposed to be,
he said,
and
stand right here.
You can't
And
do
I
that
was
to
Allie
like,
was,
Allie. You can't do that.
no,
can't
man,
do
she was
it.
about to stage dive. That's why, like, if that guy would have just stayed in his mark where he was supposed to be, but he got caught in the moment, man. He was feeling himself, man. It was a vibe, as the kids say. So
How did you get
yeah,
introduced to DMC? How did you get this opportunity?
yeah. So the spot where I work, the sweatshop rehearsal studio in Brooklyn. So many different people come in there, you know, and he happened to come in there because there's a cool girl, Edgy Dean, that was performing. She was the headliner for that night at the House of Yes, and they did a song together. So, and she was always cool. She would come in, we always talk and everything. She's super sweet, and she's a solo artist, so she triggers all of her stuff with like a looper, and she plays everything herself and stuff like that. So when I would see her, I always just would bring her to the room and come back, and that would be it, because she would always just perform by herself. But that day, she let me knew that day that other people were going to be coming through, just to kind of direct them to the room, like another singer and probably somebody else or something. And so I'm just sitting in the chair, and the door opens up in the office, and DMC just walks in there. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And it just opened the door. And it was so funny. That day, too, I happened to have my like Run DMC black fedora on. And we was laughing. I was like, man, this is you the reason why I wear this. And he came to see her. So he said, come by the room, come, just come, come through. So I came through to set up the mics and stuff like that, and then we started chatting, and then he was asking me that I like do acting or stuff like that, and I was like, no, I haven't done anything like that in a while, because he was saying that his original manager that managed them, he said, like, man, you really remind me and look like him, and we're gonna do a movie. They're gonna do the biopic on us, and you might be good to play our original manager or stuff like that. So I said, cool, man. But then and so the so Edgy was like, well, he plays guitar. He plays guitar, and he's like, oh, you play guitar? And I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, that's what I do, professionally. And he's like, we need somebody to play. Could you play the guitar part on this? And so I went back in the office, and now went back in the office, just went and grabbed my guitar, tuned it up, and just showed him, did something on the guitar, really did something like a riff or a solo or something, and then played it. And he was like, oh man, this is awesome. He said, if you want it, the thing, let's do it. And it was just like that. So then, got the contact information. So that was really great that Edgy, she made that happen, because it was their single and that they were performing, but they was doing separate sets. So DMC would do a bunch of his classics, like a little medley of his classics, and then in the end they would do Walk This Way, and have just something fun to do. So that's how it came about, and it was really cool, man.
Would you guys be open to doing like a rap rock collaboration similar to that of Walk This Way?
Oh,
Uh,
totally. I
yeah,
totally for
right.
stuff like that. I grew up listening to hip hop and R&B mostly, because that's just what everyone around me in school and stuff was listening to. So I've always been a fan of those like rock and hip hop collaboration type of things.
Yeah, no doubt. I think for me personally, if I could have my choice of something like that, I would lean towards something in the vein of like how the Roots, where they're like a live band and they have kind of soulful beats, like
Oof,
R&B
oof.
stuff, yeah, stuff like that. That would be more something that I could see, like, something like with Common, or stuff, or something like with Kendrick, something cool like that, where the music would just basically sound almost like a soul sample, but it has, a live band to it. But though, because I was never into kind of like the Limp Biscuit type stuff, or
Oh my
yeah, that
god.
that was, what I mean. And when you hear like rap rock, people just go to like, they might go to that. Now, I will say this though, I did I dug Linkin Park. I thought they were dope.
I
I
really
really thought
love
they were
Linkin
cool.
Park, and I
Yeah, I thought they
was
were
a
cool.
huge Deftones fan, and I love Rage Against the Machine. So
Yeah, right. See, like these are like, and I also really loved Ice T's Body Count, and that's super
oh yeah, you showed me.
gnarly metal. Yeah, that's like super gnarly metal, but so I that type of stuff would always be cool. So it's all about like it's got to flow and be dope. And you think of Walk This Way, that's just a really cool funky beat because the Run DMC, they used to have a lot of their first records. They sampled a lot of rock. In fact, it wasn't Ice T was the first rapper to sample Black Sabbath. So which is a big influence on Allie and me. We love Black Sabbath. So
Yep.
I've always when it's done right, it works.
Yeah, we have to
What's your
work for.
favorite? Oh, go ahead, Ali.
What did you say? It cut off. What did you say? I couldn't hear
Oh
you.
no, I just said go ahead, Ali. I think she was about to say something, and I cut her off.
Oh no, no, I'm good. Yeah, I was just saying we have to like definitely work out for us.
Right. What's your favorite Sabbath album?
Okay, Allie.
I like Masters of Reality a lot. Matt bought me the vinyl, and I would listen to it on the internet, but then there's like nothing like listening to something on vinyl and hearing that crackly sound.
Okay, yeah. I so she's definitely in the same hotbed as me, but I really love the first record the most for me just because it just has more of the blues based riffs and the kind of it really it's leaning towards that kind of like Holland Wolf feel with a lot of the riffs. So the first record to me, I would say that's my uh favorite record. And Ozzy's playing some cool harmonica on there, which he doesn't do anymore. That's the only album there he plays harmonica. So uh unless I'm wrong, someone will let me know, because I now stand corrected, but for me it's the debut record.
I
I
always
love the
say
debut.
Masters of Reality because like the when Sweet Leaf comes on and Old Boy is just like, yeah, that shit. I love that. Sounded like you're choking on your coffee. Um, I don't know. There was something about that drew me into that album. It was just like, was this an accident?
I love the title track off the first album because like Ozzy's like screaming for help. It's like he's getting like attacked by a demon or something like
In the
that.
in
Yeah,
the
It's so dark.
the song Black Sabbath, right, off the first
Yeah, yeah,
album.
hmm
yeah.
I love that song.
yeah,
But my
no,
favorite
so
album is probably Volume 4.
oh wow, okay, that's the one that has Ozzy on there. He's throwing up like the peace signs, right?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
it. That's it.
Yeah, okay, nice, nice.
that's the
You know,
album where I
Sabbath.
say he looks like Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, you do. I think what's so funny about she does is that like you can see with each album the level of drugs that were being used on each album and the degree of drug
I mean, Ozzy
use.
wrote a song about cocaine on Volume
Yeah,
4. You know,
yeah, right. That has like Snowblind, right?
that's
Does
it.
that have
Yep.
snow? Ah, yeah, it has Snowblind on there, so you could kind of because it's amazing though. Allie's being a lyricist and a writer. Uh, the lyrics, man, that are in those like the first like three Black Sabbath albums, man, that's some really, really great lyrics that are being put down, and in terms of
Definitely.
and
Absolutely.
just really incredible, man. You got everything from like the war in Vietnam to like to like you were saying about the paranoia and like all this type of stuff that really wasn't being done at that particular time on that type of a heavy level, and really, like I said, it's really blues based music that was kind of just put on like that really dark, and I really like how simple and dark
Yeah,
you can see everything, like when you hear like the rain coming down in on that first record. It's like, man, this is really cool. It's painting like this really creepy, like almost like Nosferatu type
it's
imagery
lurking
that you can.
music.
Yeah, right. There you
Yeah,
go, Ali. Like,
it's a horror movie on wax. That's how I look
Yeah.
at Black Sabbath. That's all it is.
Yeah,
And it kind of paved the way
absolutely.
to what the Misfits was doing. You know, Black Sabbath is a pretty monumental group, and when you look at, you know, yeah, it's very blues based because those doom riffs, what will become doom metal, it's all from the blues. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just it's incredible because like Masters of Reality is like the first record to have drop C tuning on it. So those, you know, which became now like the, you know, a popular and like you know, metal tuning. But so it just shows you this how, you know, ahead of the time that Tony was on the guitar, just to give, you know, these dark monster type riffs, man. And for that to be coming out of a guy too that had a disability, you know, showing people this is that's not going to stop me from playing guitar. So that alone is, it should be inspiring to any guitar player.
Praise Tony Iommi. That's what I say.
Yes, man, and a lover of the SG. So and that's one of my primary used guitars. So and so anybody that can play the SG like that, I always like it.
I want to talk about the Lovehoney, like Sonic Evolution. You know, what do you think is your best EP so far, from Devil Woman all the way to now to Victory?
Damn.
Oh
I'm
man.
I'm gonna let Allie drown herself first before I answer this.
Ah shit, man. Um, I can't do it because I I
You gotta
can't.
do it. Don't do him like this. You gotta do it. He put you
God
on the
damn
spot.
it. It's so sad because there's like songs that I love from every single one of them. Like I feel like they can hear me, and what if one of our EPs gets mad at me and won't play on Spotify
They can
anymore?
hear.
Come on.
Oh no.
I will
I
say though, I just based on the making of it and how one of the songs were written, I will say Cruda is one of my most favorite EPs that we have, and that's just on the basis of how we wrote it and where we recorded it and the whole process of how that album how that EP was made. I'll say Cruda.
okay. Uh Definitely for me, sound wise, Cruda. Definitely for me, sound wise, Cruda. And then after that, it's close between Dig This and Call Me. But sound wise, I think sound we were able to capture what we do the best on Cruda. Only thing I wish we would have been able to have to utilize the same techniques. Like I wish we could have came to Sabella to do like
Everything,
Call Me, everything. You know what I mean?
everything.
Everything. But you know, everything happens for a reason, and the places where we did record were amazing studios. You know, at Punch Bug, that was great because it kind of helped us a lot to because what I love about that and Jake there, man, a wonderful producer,
Oh,
wonderful
definitely.
engineer and stuff. He was able to craft and really help us get the analog sound while using digital equipment. So I think what we were able to do there allowed us to come in Sabella and do things, what we had in our head. But I don't want to bullshit in terms of I got to come up with an answer. So I'm gonna say, well, man, cover wise, my dad looked so cold on Dig This, man.
It really
Damn,
does.
my dad looked really cool on there. So, but then Allie's Bob looked so cool on Devil Woman.
Oh
Oh
my
man,
God. Let me
and
say
and
let
then
me say
Allie's
something
on
real
and then
quick.
Allie's on Call Me, man. So this is crazy.
Tom used the Devil Woman EP pic and put it at his background. Do you know how weird that is on his background on
Say that,
Facebook
Allie.
to have my
What you said?
mom's
What you
face
said?
and body?
I didn't hear you, Allie. What you said?
Wow, Allie.
Oh shit, can you hear
Allie,
me?
what you said?
Wow.
Oh, how
Yeah, I
Tom
just
had
didn't. It just cut
had the
out. What you
picture
said?
of my mom on his background on Facebook. the Devil Woman EP. He had it on his background,
Really?
and it's the most bizarre thing I ever seen in my life.
That's flattering. What's wrong with
Yeah.
that?
All right, yeah. So I'm gonna say Cruda because Cruda is just gnarly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that as far as that's gonna be my final answer. Though I love them all the best. I think Cruda might be. Now we're gonna put you on the spot. Which one is yours?
Oh, it's Call Me and Dig This. Both of those
Oh,
two are the
okay.
ones
All
that
hey,
I go
right.
back to. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice.
I love
Tommy,
the like the soulfulness of Call Me of Call and the riffiness of Dig This.
hey, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Because I really love the song "Little Mama."
Me
That's
too.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
really
favorite,
That's
like
it.
underrated song that we have. I think it's so
yeah,
That's the
very
ace.
underrated.
That's the ace.
Very under and Allie and I came up with that bridge at on in practice together because it didn't. We were like, man, we got to have some sort of bridge for this, and so we were just we once we came up with it. I think the first time that Tom and Matt actually heard it was when we recorded it because we said, okay, this is how it's gonna be, do doom, do doom, doom, and then we go, and this is gonna be, and then she's gonna, say some stuff underneath it, and then we was like, and then I was like, I'm gonna have the wah wah on it, and it's gonna sound like a Cadillac. Just think about like a Cadillac,
yeah.
like a 72 Cadillac, and it's gonna work.
You know what I think
And
about when I hear that song? Like 42nd Street in like the 60s and 70s, just like that at nighttime with all the prostitutes and the pimps outside chilling. You're
yeah,
just
yeah,
driving
yeah,
past them.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
that song reminds me of.
Yeah, so
Oh
so it
man.
definitely does. So we were all that's so funny. We all were like, thinking about the same EPs because it's always going to be sentimental with the Devil Woman and that one. But we learned a lot from making that record as to why we didn't go back to that studio and record future projects, and that's why we did the next two records at Punchbug, which we loved, and we actually did Call Me at my job. We actually did that like old school, really analog kind of you know
Yeah.
one shot pony like live
Yeah.
inside of like the practice rooms because we wanted to do something kind of like really quick and fun and back to basics and
Call
and
Me's
then
really
and
special. It has that dream interlude, which I like. That's like one of my most favorite parts of Call Me. Like I can just
Yeah,
listen
let's
to the
talk
whole
about that
thing.
song. Yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about that one because I could tell you, Pete, that how the recording of that was really interesting because part of my job is resetting the rooms and making sure stuff is ready to go for the clients come in, and we have a room there called the piano room, and so one of the mornings I'm there early before everybody. I just opened up the piano and I you know just fool around with it. And then I had my phone out with me and I said, oh, this sounds pretty cool. Let me record this on my phone. So I just recorded it on my phone, that piece, the chord progression, and sent it to Allie. And when we actually recorded it in the studio, uh, we recorded my cell phone into with the mic. So we basically just recorded that cell phone recording, put a mic next to that, and then fed that into, you know, the console, and it made it even more kind of crispy and crackly and stuff like that. And then Allie, laid down the vocals on top of it. So it was really cool and that was the first time too. That's the only record that I'm playing
Piano.
uh, piano on out of all of the EPs too.
So, Ali, as a fellow Deadweather fan, Sea of Cowards turns 10 this year. So, do you think this album ages well?
Yeah. I'm biased as fuck. It's definitely held up. I was going through a box the other day and I found both my Sea of Cowards album and what was the other one?
Whorehound. That was the first album.
Whorehound. I found my CDs that I bought for them. And I kind of miss CDs. Like there's like this the lyrics with in the sleeves and stuff like that and the pictures. Anyways, back to the question. Yeah, I think Sea of Cowards has held up. I think if they released it today, it would still be great, and I would still definitely buy it. Being a fan of all like three of the bands that all these other people are in.
Watch his cigarette smoke. Get on my shirt. Watch his cigarette
I
smoke.
like
Get on my
Alison
shirt.
Mozart's like bipolar writing.
That's
Oh
man,
my
that
god.
song. Well, Allie, what song is that I was doing that from? What song? That song is
I think
so
that's No
gnarly.
Horse. I think.
Yeah,
Yes, that's my favorite song on
that
that album. Oh
that
my god.
riff, that riff, and the way her voice
Turn,
sounds.
bah, bah, bah,
Bam,
bah.
ba-na-na-na-na-na.
Ah, shit, man.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
just like I'm like that's the one where you're like where I just go back. I just like I gotta let that run from the top again, and like
Yo.
it's just perfect, like from like the verse to like the chorus, and you're just like, and she's just howling and huffing, and it's just like, damn, this is really good, man. I'm like, damn, man, that one is.
Yeah,
I
that
love
album
that
was
one,
great.
man. I love.
I can,
I
those
I
are
can't hear
that's
you.
one of the
I can't
very
hear
few
you. Is
albums
dope.
that I can listen to from beginning to the end.
Yeah,
It's really
yeah,
dope.
absolutely. Like Dead Weather is just, man. Like outside of the White Stripes, like that's my favorite Jack White project.
Oh, for
The White
sure.
Stripes. Oh, definitely. I
Yeah,
was
outside
super
of it. Yeah.
inspired by
Mhm.
the White Stripes. Just their aesthetic is kind of like their aesthetic made you pay attention to them, and the music made you stay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So lastly, I don't want to hold you guys up. Do
Oh, we got
you
time. We having fun.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I appreciate that. Likewise. Do you ever have to explain why you play rock music as people of color? Because I know for me, people always ask me since early college, late high school, why do you? How did you get into like? Why do you like this group? I don't understand. It's
Mm,
like you know what I mean?
Oh,
mm.
absolutely. I definitely
Yeah,
do because I went to school
absolutely,
in Bushwick.
absolutely.
And everybody listens to, for the most part, everyone I grew up with listens to hip hop and R&B. And I when I was in high school, I was into all of that stuff. And I had a couple door knocker earrings here and there. And that was my vibe. And then I was always listening to different music growing up because my mom and my dad had like had tons of CDs, and my dad loved music so much, so he introduced me to a whole bunch of different artists that I couldn't talk to any of my friends in school about. They didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And then I was also, into all the stuff that my peer groups were into. And so now when anybody from high school sees me on social media, they're just like, "Oh, you a rock star now? Since when?" It's one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, well, in high when I was in high school though, I was I didn't find like rock music out until I was like in film school. So but in high school, everything like Ali was saying was like hip hop and R&B driven, or not really. To me, I'm a little kind of like different about what I consider R&B. So a lot of like the hip hop or the stuff that was being called R&B when I was in high school, to me it was just like rap. It was the same type of thing because again, I grew up with
None
my
of the
dad playing.
music with them dancing in the rain. You didn't
Yeah,
consider R&B.
right. Because I grew up with my dad playing Temptations, Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, and stuff like that. So the part though that I did like about hip hop was that I knew every single sample, and I was always able to impress my different friends or different people who were into that because I knew the original song because my dad had played all those records. So that was at the time when most of the rap was all like R&B loops. So I was never the guy that was into rap, honestly. It's like only for like a certain. I was only really the only rap that I liked when I was in school was like conscious rap. So it was like Mos Def, Common, the Roots and stuff like that, and like old Ice T and stuff like that. So I was never really into like the current current stuff. But I respected it, and I knew where it came from. So as I got older and got into doing rock and stuff like that, I never had no one never really raised any eyebrows or was really kind of like, no one ever really questioned me what I was doing. I guess probably because I guess I had like Jimmy shining down on me from heaven, just like giving people, hey, look, man, this guy looks too cool. He knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? So, but I've always though wanted to educate myself because I knew that I was going to be like probably the only person that looked like me doing that until obviously until I met Allie, but just in general. So I would always like look up there who who are people that do this that look like me. It's because I know it has to be more than just Lenny Kravitz and like Jimi Hendrix. So
Yeah.
I went into the and vaults rather and started like studying and finding out about like the first black rock band like Black Murder from Detroit, and then I found out about Def, the first black punk band, which actually like if you listen to their first record that they had shelved in a vault, it sounds like the Ramones before the Ramones even came out, and then Bad Brains and all that, and then my favorite rock artist still to this day is Arthur Lee of Love, who again was really tight with Jimi Hendrix and everything like that, and was just like a pioneer of all that stuff. So that gave me like confidence, just knowing that I knew all of these great, you know, artists of color that did what they did, and it was just because when I just meet somebody and all they know is just Jimi Hendrix, I'm like, well, you not it's this is so much more complex.
Yeah.
He had people that he idolized and stuff like that. And so I think that's kind of like the box that sometimes people might want to put me and Allie in, is that like, oh, like Zoe Kravitz, or you're like Gary Clark Jr. or stuff like that. And it's like and it's like, and I think that comes from a place really just of not intentionally being bad, but it's just lack of information. Like to if all you're seeing in the media is this one person, so now you're going to associate everything with that person. But if you honestly knew that we were complex, and that there's there's so many artists of color that Allie and I draw from, that we send each other and that we put each other onto, that most people might not know. Like most people might not know who Arthur Lee is. A lot of people don't know about Def or about Black Murder or about a lot of this stuff. But it's our job to educate ourselves so that we can educate people and be like, well, we know the history of rock and roll, and it's so wide, and it's so many different trailblazers that don't even get mentioned. Even like Mickey and Sylvia was a black rock and roll duo, and she was a phenomenal guitar player, but ended up being like the godmother of hip hop, which was she was responsible for Rapper's Delight. So, and people don't even know that she was in a rock band prior to basically laying down the blueprint for hip hop. But these are things that I pride myself on, like kind of knowing,
Yeah.
so that if we ever have a conversation and people like do that and say, oh, you're just like this guy. Well, no, I'm really not like this guy, and that guy that you're saying that I'm like is not like the person you're saying he's like. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because so
Yeah.
I guess
For a long
hopefully that
time, like
hopefully that makes sense.
the only person, like the woman of color that I was just like running around, like I felt like I had a connection to, was Tina Turner. And then Tommy put me on to Betty Davis, and I was like, oh shit, so much like
Then there's Sister
personality.
Rosetta Tharpe.
I'm sorry.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe, you know about her?
I know Sister
Yeah.
Rosetta Tharpe. Yeah. Oh
We
man, we
so
can't talk about
I
this.
took
Never mind.
yeah. I took I we better hey girl, bring it. This is no filter. He said no filter. Don't hide.
we
Come on.
there
She
was like a point where we were recording with at a spot, and this person who was recording us had like zero knowledge of rock music, or people of color in rock, and we
Zero,
had we had
zero, bro,
we had
zero
brought up
until
Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and this person was just not receptive to what we were saying, and then we realized, oh, you don't know who the fuck we're talking about.
right.
Got
You
it.
don't. You're right. Right. You have no knowledge of. She was like, "Well, did you know that Jimi Hendrix was with the Isley Brothers?" And I was like, "Yeah, he was also with Little Richard. He was also with Wilson Pickett. He was also with Ike and Tina Turner." So it's like
It was like
you
looking at us with these eyes of, who are these people you speak of?
Right. Who are these? Like when I remember when we went out to Nashville, that was one of the first places that I took Allie, but it was closed, but she could see the picture from outside the wall, and it was a awesome shop that had all these amazing women of rock. So it had Sister Rosetta Thorpe, and she's holding that awesome 3 pickup SG guitar, and then it had like Joan Jett and stuff like that. But Allie and I, we've always tried to educate ourselves on just people of color in general in rock. Like we would send each other's pictures and talk about like Jesse Ed Davis, who was Taj Mahal's lead guitar player, and he was an awesome Native American brother that's doing all the great Telecaster stuff. And Taj Mahal is another person that Ali and I love that doesn't get a lot of recognition today, but he was right out there at the same time as Jimi Hendrix. He's still alive today. And this is like a living legend that unfortunately, you know, there's not enough people of color doing what we do. So it's hard to keep the torch and the flame going and the information, because like what Ali and I was saying, you got people who have no information about who these people are, and all they know is like, yeah, Jimi Hendrix, yeah, but then they don't even know albums that he played on or who inspired him or different stuff like that. So it's kind of like, yeah, I see this black guy, let me just say, hey, you remind me of Jimi Hendrix, and I'm like,
You're the first black guy you ever thought of.
right,
Yes.
right, yeah, like I'm like, that's like me telling somebody like, oh, you remind me of George Washington, like you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and I know Allie and I, we've talked about it, and I know it's coming from a place of initial flattery, and it's like, okay, you're saying this, but you're saying this, but it's just sometimes it just feels borderline racist to me, like in terms of stuff like that, when it's like, oh, you remind me of Gary Clark Jr. or stuff like that, and different stuff like that, and I know that's not the intent, but it seems as if the person is like totally uneducated in terms of like, let me just think of the first black person that I know played guitar. It's like seeing me with a guitar case, and assuming I play bass.
Yeah,
Now
it's
it's
just
true. When
lack
people
of
see me, they
education.
think I sing R&B. They're like, oh, there were times when people would tell me like, you should make music like Aaliyah. You should make music like what's this girl's name? Janae Aiko? Did I say her right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just like, y'all are saying this because we probably have like, I have like maybe similar features to these women, and it's like, no disrespect to them, but that's not my vibe. That's not what I'm going for, and that's not. I'm an aggressive performer. There's no way I could pull that off anyway.
Right. And we
Yeah.
love the people that we speak about. Like I said, Hendrix to
Yeah,
me, that he's a
definitely.
god. He's a god to me. That's the greatest rock and roll guitar player of all time. Like amazing. And also, like I said, we both love Gary Clark Jr. He's an amazing talent, a great brother and stuff like that. It's just the idea that like you want to be able to like separate yourself, but Ali and I realize, because they're like they're so there's only seems like there's just such a limitation to what everyone's able to see. And if there was more bands of color, then you wouldn't get that, because you don't see a white dude that's shredding and playing some awesome blues and they say, you remind me of John Mayer. You know what I mean? It just he's just there's like, you're just a fucking dope guitar player. You know what I mean? So it's because there's so many, because there's a lot of white cats that play the guitar. So they're able to like have their own identity without someone immediately, you know, giving a rough,
Typecasting.
yeah, typecasting and stuff like that. But we embrace it in terms of, and we don't like argue or get pissed
Yeah, we're
off
not like
because we,
super like
yeah,
offended by it, but I
right.
do think
You
people
can't
need
you
to,
can't be.
just put don't you don't have to put me in a box. Just listen to the music,
Right,
just
you know what I
yeah.
mean, and listen to it, and hopefully, Allie and I, we're gonna keep doing this until we're old and gray, and then some people will say, you know what, you remind me of Tommy White, or you remind me of Allie, so
Oh
they'll
I'm
yeah.
say
down
that,
for that.
you know, so
Yep.
so so
You
they'll
guys
do
know
that.
Benjamin Booker?
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
oh
Absolutely.
man, Pete, you bring in the heat, man. You making us feel bad. These are people that Allie and I
Benji's
we
so
sent
cute.
we sent videos to each other of. I remember I put Allie on to Benjamin Booker from the first time that he came out, and his first two records are just
Oh, incredible.
phenomenal records. And again, this is a super dope guy. I love his voice, very unique sound, really really cool, and just really cool, man. That's what I liked about that. You could hear other influences in his music, and the last record, man, I like how he took like a political stance, and you could hear that he was, he wasn't afraid to write about what was going on, and like same way like how Ali and Kruda, the song Displacement, that's about gentrification. So you know benjamin is Benjamin is dope. And Ali, what's the other Adia Victoria, right? Ali, is that her name?
Dear Victoria, yeah,
Yeah,
she's
Adia Victoria.
great. She's so cute.
She's cold.
Like,
She's cold.
and she's very like knowledgeable about like the blues and her background and just the background of the music that she plays. She definitely likes to she puts her like all the information that she knows or she carries. She like puts bits of it on her Instagram, and I really enjoy I enjoy her music a lot.
And then
Yeah,
there's
so
Jackie
there's,
Benson, who you guys played with.
Oh, we
yeah,
played with her, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we played with her. I personally, I thought I liked the playing more than the songs themselves.
Mm.
Than the songs themselves. I I didn't really care for like, I liked the playing. She was nice and technical and really good, but it wasn't. I didn't get the same feeling that I got from when like I saw Benjamin Booker or when I saw Dia Victoria. It's just at least in that in those sessions of which I saw it. But it was she was phenomenal, played phenomenal and stuff like that. But me personally, speaking from a personal thing, I I dig off of a feel and off of a vibe of a situation, and I couldn't I couldn't smell it. I like to smell it, man. I got
That's a
I
good
like
point.
I got to you gotta put that stank face on where you're like,
Yes.
oh, this is nasty. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about dead weather,
Well
man. You
said.
put on
Ooh, that
no horse,
stinks.
it's like that's like, whew, man, somebody open a window. Like, you know
If
what
Yes.
I
I
mean?
ever
Like,
meet Jack White, I'm gonna tell him, boy, you stink. He better stink. You know what I'm saying? He can't smell good. He can't. Neither Allison too. They better
yeah,
be. Oh man,
they better
Oh,
be
totally.
stinking, man. Yeah,
I would love to
but
have like a writing session with Allison.
the stinkier the better. Let's go. Stop
I
yeah,
know,
showering
right?
right now.
yeah. Somebody need, because Allie and I, we had talked about, because I definitely I wanted to do some stuff with Benjamin and produce some tracks, because I've always Al and I always we get into producer mode. People that we like, we always say, "Oh man, we could write some stuff for them, or we could do some stuff,
Oh
or
yeah, definitely.
collaborate." Also, I want to shout out to somebody that I always admired and dug what they were doing. Cody Chestnut, that was a big influence on me when I started playing guitar. Seeing him with the roots and stuff like that, and that was really cool. That was dope. So that was cool.
All right, the new single "Victory" coming out June what?
So June, like this June 20th. When you upload this stuff, you tell them a date. Hopefully, it comes out that date, or it might come out a little bit sooner. But it's gonna be in that, in that vein of June. We're shooting for June 20th. It may come out a little bit sooner, but maybe just by like a couple days.
Yeah, so
All
like
right.
if anybody wants to check it out, just like stay tuned on our like social media platforms. Lovehoney Music on Instagram, and then we'll be able to announce when the exact is.
Yeah, man, we're gonna try to get everyone some like nice gifts and some stuff, some pins, some victory pins, and maybe some victory tapes and just some merch and stuff that's for all the people that's been supporting us. We're gonna try to send out some goodies once people contact us and let us know that they've heard the record.
All right, Tommy, Allie, Lovehoney, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you so much
Oh,
for having us.
oh, thank you so much, brother. It was a blast, man. Can't wait to do it again.